Welcome back, everyone. I'm sorryannasaurus, and here I have therpgchick, Rockodactylus, I'm sorry if I butchered that, and Mechalink, who will be doing the Faerie % run of Legend of Mana. Can you all let me know when you're ready for the name and the character gender?
Well, definitely we need the gender first,
Okay.
because that'll be the first selection.
Okay. It is female.
All right. I'm mechalink. He, any, the one talking right now. In terms of speed tech, the gender choice does not matter for this run.
It's
That's
just
good, at
an
least.
aesthetic choice, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the top 3 names, I guess since Rocco is in the number 1 position, we'll let him have the first name.
So do you want the top, highest bid name?
Yeah, the highest bid 3 names.
Okay. Netara, Netara.
Capital N.
All uppercase, all lowercase, or mixed?
Just uppercase N.
Okay. Okay.
The therpgchick will be
Kiru Mofu. It's spelled lowercase Kiru. Uppercase M as in Mark. OUFU.
Are the OM... Wait, the M...
Just the M is capitalized in that.
And then it's what?
Sorry.
So MUFU?
MOUFU.
Okay.
For me.
That was a mouthful.
Is Marian. MARIAN. And only the M is capitalized at the beginning.
MARIAN.
Yes.
Marian.
Let me know when you're on the map screen.
I have made it to the map screen. I have made it to the correct tile, and am waiting on button press.
Same.
Okay, I think we're all 3 of us are good to go then.
That is the case.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna count us down, and we'll get into this pretty awesome HD remastered run. So let's do this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. So welcome to the remastered version of Legend of Mana that was originally a PS1 RPG. And Square Enix came along and lovingly rearranged all the music, redid all the backgrounds, and remastered the sprites for us. I'm really sorry, we are going to be skipping the opening musical number. Sorry. It's really good music, though, if you ever get a chance to go back and listen to it.
They'll hear the same music at the end, at least. More or less.
This is true. So this is kind of an offshoot, a little bit of a side game to the main Mana series. Because you have Seiken Densetsu 1 through 3, and then you have 4 Dawn of Mana on PS2, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we some of us pretend that game doesn't exist.
A lot of people do, unfortunately. Did not go that well.
Yeah. But, so this game is kind of interesting because it gives you a lot of options to do during your playthrough. The world and the map, as you saw, was kind of ours to choose, and where we place our towns and our dungeons is kind of for us to figure out. Of course, our map is going to be completely optimized for this particular run, as we need to have 18 artifacts down on the map in order to unlock the mana tree at the end.
Spin. And we start with Flambo. Alright. The way you can tell that it's spin in Japanese is that it starts with a square. Square for spin. Well, a double square.
So yeah,
yeah,
some
I
of us chose different skills. I'm sure the two of them chose jump and spin, whereas I have jump and defend for the time being. But we're basically trying to unlock counter strike and counter attack as quickly as we can.
Yep. And yeah, we all start with the hammer because the hammer's level ups give you more power than the rest. And so we're trying to take advantage of that for as long as we can, which isn't that long. In a lot of other longer runs, you stick with the hammer for a long time. In this case, we won't be. And yeah, I've chosen to run. I wanted to say I chose to run in Japanese because we are having a Japanese restream, and so to kind of help them out, they reached out to us for the route, but also the game at the remaster became multi-language.
Yeah, we are extremely grateful to have our Japanese restream friends. So thank you for that. So we're starting out with this dude named Elazul, but because this is not all events, and because this is not a Jumi run, this is going to be the only time we see Elazul in this run. But essentially, we're picking up an artifact that we need to complete our 18 artifacts on the map. What we are going to do is we're going to go around to the back of Davina, and we are going to pick up our first real quest, which is going to be Nick's Business Unusual. Nick is a jerk. Just so you know.
I actually blew up, didn't press all the right prompts for Elazul, so I had to go grab Elazul real quick and get the Jade Egg.
Oh, I hate when I do that.
Yeah. But now we're back on to getting rid of Elazul for Niccolo.
Oh, I'm not even sure what the backup is for that. Every time I've made that mistake, I've just started over.
Basically, you can just go around to where Elazul kind of pops back up and he's like, oh, hey, take me with you. And you say, usually we say refuse and we don't want him.
Yeah.
But if you take him back into your party, then you can go back to the bar, pick up the Jade Egg, and then dump him again.
Right, and you don't have to actually get Niccolo to do that. You just need to enter that screen that Niccolo's in and then leave it. And then he'll pop up and try and grab, pop up and try and get you. You say yes, and then yeah, as therpgchick said. Yeah. I've done marathon runs before, so we're aware of the backups. Elevated does like all events marathons every once in a while. Not marathons, but all events kind of races. So there's been a few times that it's been like, oops, how do we do this again?
Yeah, the two biggest ones, honestly, that end up getting mashed through are that one and the Dead Bears event, which will be towards the end of this run.
Yep.
So you'll see a lot of our tech in this is trying to maximize our speed and our battles as much as we possibly can. One of the biggest things, which is not as big as it used to be in the PlayStation version, but is still very useful, is wiggle running, because running at diagonals allows us to go faster than running in straight lines. So you'll see what kind of looks like our characters being a little wonky as we run. And that is purely us wiggle walking to move faster through the screens. You're also going to see things like jump cancels, spins, power cancels. So if you start to hear a lot of hunk thwack, those are our power cancels. And I'm really sorry, Rat Bites, but I must defeat you. The little gems that are dropped counts as our experience. And of course the gold is just our money, which Niccolo will promptly rob us of most of when we get to the boss of this area. So there are going to be a lot of events that we are going to skip in the course of this run. We are basically only going to be doing things that we need to either get artifacts or that will also unlock actual Faerie event storylines. But there will be events where you will see a a really pretty looking fairy graphic actually fly across the screen, and those are the actual fairy events. Okay, this Robin Hood is being a jerk.
They always are.
Nick, stop eating my experience crystals.
That's all he knows how to do.
I know.
He's a growing cat rabbit.
So there are 3 main storylines in this game, which are Dragon, Jumi, and Faerie. And Faerie is essentially just one of those 3 storylines, because in order to beat the game, you do have to complete one of those storylines. So we'll be focusing on the exploits of Dana and Escad and Matilda and Erwin in this particular run. Don't like you spiny cats, go away. You'll also notice we're making an effort to pick up as many of those item bags as possible. So some of the older iterations of the runs had weapon grinds, at least partial weapon grinds, and the way that Faerie has been redone over the last year or so is that all of our weapons are bought, or we pray that one of them drops along the route.
And other categories, it is very common to, essentially for speed purposes, get to a weapon drop, try to get it first try, and if you don't get it quick enough, the run is dead.
Well, it's reset anyway if you're going for a PB. Thankfully, it's really, really difficult to have a run die in this game, especially because if you do happen to die in a fight, you can just kind of reset the area and do the fight over again. Nick!
We got Niccolo money. We might get poverty skip.
So for context, the reason I'm not talking anywhere near as much is because RPGC and Mecha are way more veteran in this game and this category than I am. Kind of like with the Pirate's Curse race against Norimaki on Friday. I'm kind of a newcomer to the scene, and I'm just here to have a good time.
Says the person with the best time of us 3.
Yeah, Rockalakadactylus is here to show us up and beat us.
Yeah.
You
I'm
have
actually
way more
not
experience with the original. I've only been running the remaster.
That's certainly true. And I got into this because of therpgchick. Her marathon runs last year finally inspired me to get into the game.
Yeah, apparently I've corrupted a few people.
Myself included. So actually, just like the Shantae games, I got into this because I'm used to running much longer games, like 3+ hour long games, and I was looking for shorter runs to learn. And therpgchick was running Legend of Mana at the time. I'm like, oh, okay, like Dragon Percent, that's a decent amount of time. And then when I got into the community, they're like, yeah, Dragon Percent has a decent amount of RNG, so maybe start with Faerie Percent to get familiar with it. And here I am.
Yeah, the first iterations of Dragon had it still has 2 weapon grinds, but one took us kind of out of the way to grind for an axe. This one is a more direct route because it allows us to do a grind in the dungeon that we're already going to be in anyway. Oh my god, this kid has gotten in my way every single heckin' run lately. But
they want to sell you some minerals that they've mined.
This is not all stories. I'm not interested in his minerals.
They definitely mine some topple cotton.
But yeah, so since the route change for Dragon Percent, there is a drop that is like a 12.5% chance to drop in. While it doesn't take you out of your way for the run itself, because it's such a low drop percent, it's like, oh, get lucky or spend like 30 tries trying to get the sword.
Yep.
The bosses of Dragon Percent are very trolly, but you can't necessarily say that's not true for some of the ones we're gonna get to later, like 3 of them in particular.
Yeah,
also,
when I was doing my deep I was like, there's 3.
Yeah.
Then I was like, yeah.
Yeah. That's Lemur, he of the cyborg hands, by the way. He blows us all out of the water and is amazing at this game.
It definitely has a top-notch wiggle. Although, as we said, the wiggle is slightly less overpowered in the remaster than it is in PSX.
It
According
still
to testing.
makes a difference, though.
It still makes a difference, yeah.
Also, I'm not sure how much of a difference it makes, but I'm running on the PC, and I believe you both are running the Switch version. Is that correct?
Yeah, I
Yes.
don't think it makes a ton of difference either that way. I know there were some things before the update that had some lag on them, but I don't know if they're still there.
Yeah, I think the lag parts have been fixed. Maybe your load times are slightly different than ours, but the lag was a big thing on the PC version before the most recent patch, before 1.10.
Also, so just for some story context, this is one of those quests that we kind of have to do to unlock other events in this area, because pretty much the majority of the Faerie storyline takes place around this town, which is Gato. But in order to unlock those, we have to go through this event with poor Mr. Rubens, who dies in pretty much every single run.
Yeah, everybody has to unlock Gato for one reason or another, so every run involves this red-haired man
Except for
suffering
Dragon.
a tragic
Dragon
end.
doesn't use it.
But you still have to unlock it, or do you actually get to skip? You get to skip Gato.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It's the only run in
Wow.
existence where you get to actually skip this poor red-headed man.
Wow, that does sound nice. And all you do to trade for it is the worst RNG.
Yeah, totally. So this is, despite not really having an identifier for it, this is also kind of part of the Jumi storyline, because this kind of opens up some of the Jumi story quests as well, even though they don't take place around here.
Yep.
But yes, Mr. Rubens is a Jumi. If you prefer, he's a crystal gem.
Yeah, the Jumi as a race appear to have gems for hearts or cores, they're referred to, and when they're separated from them, they die. And you're going to see that. Actually, you've already seen that on Rocco's scene, and you're about to see that with me and rpgchick. Stones which lose their sparkle shall be punished.
Yeah, that's kind of its own thing, and if you are interested in checking that run out, Mecha and I will be doing an all stories run for Questing for Glory coming up in the second week of November. And that includes all three, Dragon, Faerie, and Jumi. So if you are interested in seeing that, that'll be a good time to turn in for it. And we can see more of the not-so-great mouse detective here.
Yep. You're right, this is actually the only time we have to interact with him in this route.
It is.
We don't do drowned dreams, we don't do any of the incidental stuff.
So for those of you who might have played this this event casually, there is a much easier way through the caves than actually following the Sproutling's leaves, and it makes it so much better.
Yeah, the caves, the Gato caves are a bit of a mess, and thankfully we never really have to navigate them.
Yeah, because in the end, we're really only interested in catching up with Sandra, who is on top of the cliffs by the birds, There are a lot of rainbow creatures in this run, which is one of the reasons I like it so much, because we will have a rainbow doggo coming up, and there is a rainbow bird. They're
We
both
get to see the
pretty
rainbow
glorious.
bird. We get to see the rainbow bird multiple times.
So I'm gonna go for gloves here rather than a sword. So typically you pick up the iron sword here, but I am gonna go for gloves because it is gonna make the next boss a little bit easier on the off chance that I don't get the glove drop that we're all praying for.
On the very likely chance that we don't get the drop that we want.
Yeah, the drop for the gloves is also pretty low. I think that's also like a 12.5%, but Lemur or Umeka can correct me.
Yeah, it's essentially the same. It's I think it's another tier 4 drop, but we don't need it. It just helps. The boss that we fight right after we could get the glove is fast. Come on, do we really just run into the moldy goo? Fine, fine, fine. Taking all your experience.
Thankfully, there's not a whole lot of encounters on this particular part of this.
Nah.
But we always make fun of this event because it's basically 10 minutes of back and forth and talking to the Sproutling, who is here now, incidentally.
So one other thing to know about the artifact placement is, and actually maybe RPG Chick said this and I was too absorbed in my run to process it, but where we place the artifacts determines things like enemy strength and the items that are available in shops. So it's in addition to getting 18 minimum for the end game, we place them strategically to make certain fights easier and to open up certain items for us to purchase.
Right. In short, the distance from home and then the lateness of the artifact that you place determine the land power, which is essentially the level of the land, and then the elements that are on the land can affect the monsters. If a monster is, a very, shade-heavy monster and the land is heavy on shade, then the monster is stronger, as you would expect. Right, so there's the optimizations of the map that were referred to are around managing those levels and the order of placement.
The nice thing is there's like a little simulator program that can be used to actually figure those out without us having to constantly go through the game and see where artifacts should be placed.
Yeah. Yeah, the English community came up with one that's a Java program, and the Japanese community has a nice one on their LOM site.
Do you all have time for a couple of donations?
I think so.
Okay. We have an anonymous donation of $52 that says, "Gotta name everyone Natara." We got a third of the way there. And I also have a $5 donation from Dijon Ketchup, who says, $5 for the optional trainers, no hot takes necessary.
Oh, I will say that if we can make it to 12K by the end of this run, I will do an all events lore % for y'all in the second half of December with voice acting. Terrible RPG Chick voice acting.
You've been avoiding all events for a while.
No, it's still gonna be all stories. I can't handle all events because I would be voice acting until like 3 in the morning, and I can't handle that. But yeah, so
True.
if we do get to 12K, all stories, lore % with voice acting during the later half of December when I'm off for break. Also, I'm gonna donate $10 for every Sproutling that gets in my dang way.
Oh, that's cheating because they're flowerlings, not sproutlings.
Flowerling, sorry. Yes, my bad. my thing still stands.
Okay.
$10 for every flowerling that is in my heckin' way.
You only have to go through this area twice, but
yeah, they're really
flowerlings.
good at getting in your way.
They are.
Just like most RPGs, NPCs are the real final boss. They get in your way and just mess everything up.
Yep. Even in Golgo 13, that's true. If you run into an NPC that's not an enemy NPC, they just spawn text boxes on you. But I don't need to talk to you.
Well, I didn't get the glove drop.
Psychokinesis activated.
The music, the rearranged music in this game is so good. I only take issues with, like... I take issues with that flowerling, that's what I take issues with. There's a theme that we're not gonna hear that plays at Medora Beach, and I think it kind of lost some of its oomph in the remastered version. But otherwise, everything is gorgeous. Nope. No drop. I knew it. I knew after getting it in practice twice yesterday, there was no way in heck that I was gonna get it today.
I've gotten a drop from the first two, so let's see if we're 3 for 3.
Thankfully, the ball
Ow.
moved around on me, but that was a lot longer than it needed to be.
No, just experience crystals. No spiral claw.
Oh, we're 1 for 3 then, because you said you got it right, Rocco?
I did not get it.
No,
Oh,
none of us got
no.
it.
Oh well.
Wow, the hat's not even good enough to wear? Rude.
This is where I make a lot of mistakes, so putting artifacts down.
The blood of the peaceful dove can quench her thirst.
Sorry, don't mind me being quiet. I'm trying to focus on my timing.
Yep. It's fine. Right into an ST. Rude.
And that's why I like the gloves.
I literally had no, like, interaction time. This was a Hidodama's just timing ST.
Oh, yeah. No, I get it. I get it. I'm just, personally, that's why I like going in there with the gloves. So when I am somebody who really loves jump cancels rather than power cancels because they're a little bit easier on my ancient hands. And when you do jump cancel with pretty much any weapon aside from the gloves, you actually will move forward a little bit every single time.
Yep.
So it is, it's a lot easier to have the gloves because then you can stun lock Davula a little bit easier as well. Oh, I am forgetting things and I need to stop that. I did this during practice too and I am very silly. That's right, I can remedy this.
I thought it was pretty good, except for that initial ST.
Yeah, the smaller creatures like Davula, like Punkster, that tend to move around a lot are a little bit more of a pain in the butt to deal with as bosses, just because they can just suddenly decide, hey, I'm out, I'm gonna move over here now.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly what Lemur said. So you end up kind of going right past Davula if you're doing jump cancels with the sword.
Yep.
I think I put the beach and the mines in the wrong place. I hope that doesn't affect anything.
That actually affects a lot. It, like, you'll be able to finish the game, but like your fight against Laban just got worse.
Oh, it's not the end of the world.
that's
It'll just be a slightly longer Laban fight.
Yeah, it'll just. I mean, Laban is not one of our favorite bosses, but yeah, like it's not gonna lock you out of anything. But yeah, it's not ideal.
Yeah, basically, as long as you have empty spots for other stuff that you need to put down in the right places later, you're still fine.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things we're explicitly trying to do is lower the level of Laban, right, of that fight. So that is one place where, right, like a lot of this placement doesn't really matter much, but that's one of the places that actually is targeted, right? So that's we both try to place the mines as early as possible, and we try to manipulate its mana levels.
Now I'm gonna switch to spin so I can get Maelstrom. So the different techniques that you put on for your skills and the weapon that you're using do actually influence the kind of special techniques and special moves that you can learn with your weapons. They also will influence what other skills you pick up along the way. One of the reasons that we really had to work really quickly to get Counter-Strike is it is an absolutely invaluable skill. And this run would be very difficult to complete without it.
Yeah. Counter-Strike as a technique, if an enemy swings at you with an appropriate attack, you counter them with an 8x power attack, which is a lot. 8 is a high number. And so if the enemies attack you appropriately, you can really tear through them. This is mainly relevant for bosses, but... And yeah, so in turn, I started with spin, and now I did defend, and now I'm on counterattack, working towards Counter-Strike. Right.
So which one of these is Ruin, and which one of these is Selkie? Because I know one of them is supposed to be Ruin, and one of them is supposed to be Selkie, and I always confuse which one is which.
The second one is Selkie.
Okay. So this forest that I'm in, the jungle, is kind of inhabited by fairies that are playing mean tricks on the people here. So Ruin's like, hey, here's a spell so you don't get lost in the jungle. Although this jungle is a heckin' maze all on its own without any fairy help.
Yeah.
So this little event is another one of those events that we need to unlock the area. These two, Hamson and Skippy, basically got themselves into a lot of debt with an art gallery owner named Christy, who resides in one of the towns. And so this is one of the ways that they're kind of trying to make up payments by hunting what is called a ducate or a ducate, depending on how you feel like pronouncing it. There's a couple of other events with them as well where they're hunting other things like hunting Lilliputs, but we're not gonna see that in this run.
Yeah. And their debt is 10 million lucres, so they've got a long road. They broke a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But what we do need is to go through this quest so that we can unlock the area of the forest where the fairies are, which is what we will be doing as soon as this particular quest is over. I will say that, Sorryanna, if you have any donations to read or any blurbs you want to read out, this is a really good time for it.
Sure. I have a $5 donation from Pendle Steven, who says above 12,000. And then I also have a $20 donation from RBW, who says, last donation for the marathon for me, that this has been an absolutely fantastic marathon with wonderful runs, runners, hosts, volunteers, and of course a wonderful cause. Best of luck to the runners for Legend of Mana. May Boreal Hound play nice, and may Dana have infinite patience with her idiot friends.
I'm curious. Do we know if we met the donation for saving Dana yet or no?
We have met that donation incentive.
Sweet. Thank you all for saving the cute cat lady.
Yeah, in the fairy line story, in the fairy storyline, Dane is my favorite character.
Not the best partner that you can have through the game, but she's pretty high up there.
And at least she hits fast.
Yeah.
Can't complain about that.
Spiny caps.
Revenge for farming them for money.
Right, let's see if I can get this big guy stun locked. Hey, I didn't tell you to do that, you jerk of a Ducate.
Big orange monkey. We only fight one of the 3 monkeys in this run.
This music is so good. Interesting side fact, by the way, if you get a
Honk.
level up
Honk.
while you're if you get a level up while you're collecting crystals, it takes a little bit longer to actually bring up the end of battle message.
About 5 seconds, yeah.
So, as we re-enter the jungle, we're basically going to be re-entering for a completely different quest, which is going to involve Selkie, who is going to ask us to kind of check out what's going on with the fairies, because apparently they've been very uppity lately. And she's going to ask us to figure out why that is.
Ornery fairies. And the answer is because they all decided to color themselves like Wario.
Oh no.
The enemy fairies all are wearing Wario outfits, or Wario colored outfits.
That's I mentioned I don't like zombies here.
Yeah, there are a couple enemies that have sprite destroying attacks. Those enemies are universally annoying. Big babies, zombies. Sprite destroying attacks take a lot of time and are very good at locking you in a loop.
So yeah, so those moves, cutting bamboo and maelstrom and all that stuff, that's basically the special techniques, the STs. And you probably have seen it on the other 2 streams, because I haven't done it yet. They can be used to kind of give us iframes almost, and we will try to cast them when the boss is casting their special technique. And therefore, we hope that, based on good timing, we actually can hit the boss with our STs. And dodge their STs at the same time. So you just saw on my screen, when the name of the quest came up, there was a very, very pretty graphic of a fairy associated with it. And that's kind of how you know if you're in one of the main storylines or not. You'll see a graphic of a fairy for fairy storyline. You'll see a graphic of a jewel for Jumi, and a dragon for dragon. And it is very, very cool. So even though there might be semi-related quests, unless it has that particular insignia, it is not an actual part of that quest line. And that's Escat, and he's a big jerk.
Was he a jerk? Just
He is,
walks
like-
in and murders himself some fairies.
He's like the jerkiest paladin ever.
Yeah, he is the classic lawful good jerk.
Yeah, Escat is a paladin, and he's very like, if it's a demon, it must be evil. I must smite, kind of thing.
Yep.
He's also jelly. He's super duper jelly.
Super jealous.
All right, Punkster, please don't be a big jerk. How dare you try to cast magic in my presence?
So Punkster spin me out.
My hunk thwacks are very off today, but it's okay. I think I got it now. Well, I did have it. It's fine. It's totally fine. By the way, that creature in the back, that red creature, is called Rosiati. He is one of the 7 wisdoms. We're gonna encounter another one. Well, 2 more, actually, later on. 3 more, I guess, actually, aren't we? Because we encounter
all of them, even
Do
if
we?
we're not like doing too much with them.
We
'Cause
don't
we have-
see we don't see Oban the warrior, right?
We don't see
Right, because we never go to the underworld.
Right,
Well,
and we don't
during-
see.
after the cutscene after Irwin.
Oh, no,
it's
you're
Don't
right.
true.
encounter
You're
it, but he
seeing-
does make an appearance.
It's true.
You're right. You're right.
So we have Olban, we have Tote, we have Rosiati, we have Stelva, we have Pokiel.
Yep.
All right, Spriggan. Don't be Spriggan.
Gaius. We truly do never interact with Gaius on this route.
Yeah.
That's true. We don't.
Are we missing anybody?
No, that's all 6.
Okay.
6 of the 7 wisdoms, right?
Yep. There's Dina. There's our cat girl. We're gonna save her later. So this is Matilda. This is basically the reason that this storyline even exists. She has had her powers stolen, and even though she's only like 26 or 27 or something like that, basically
26, yeah.
yeah, she's the same age as both Dana and Escat. But in the last 10 years or so, she has essentially aged to granny status because her powers were taken away. Well, given willingly in her case, actually. And Escat is very unhappy with this. Dana just wants to find a way to save her, while Escat is like, must crush deep wrong.
Spriggan wasn't too bad.
Oh, that's good.
Could have been slightly better.
Spriggan is one of the super trolley bosses of this run, and it is a major reset point for people going for PBs.
Oh yeah.
Spriggan has a number of STs, the ability to summon ads, and an evasion technique. And bosses with evasion techniques tend to be the worst.
Yeah, and there's a couple of them in this run.
Yep.
But in that fight, you did get to see me use an ST timed reasonably well to attack Spriggan after he was done with his attack.
Look, it's a Wario-colored nun. I'm sure that won't turn out poorly. Oh,
No.
wait. What?
Yeah,
the
yes.
Wario-colored nun is evil? Hmm.
Were they twirling their mustache? Because that would have completed it. Yeah, this nun kidnaps Matilda basically to bring her to this demon named Irwin, and Irwin is the bane of Escad's existence right now. Let's see how my Spriggan fight goes. gonna be a jerk real quick, huh? Okay.
All Spriggan knows. It's all they know.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Lately, I've been having the experience that if I have a good Spriggan, I have a bad Boreal Hound, and vice versa. So since I had a decent Spriggan, I'm expecting a bad dog.
We hope that the doggo won't be bad. My Spriggan fight was not too bad. But yeah, Matilda is, she essentially was fated to be the abbess for this, this religious sect here in Gato, where she really had no supposed choice in the matter, and all she really wanted was to kind of be free.
My Spriggan is not good.
Uh-oh.
6 evades, 2 STs. We're not done yet.
Oh boy.
He hasn't got me with a status effect yet, but that's coming, I'm sure. 7 evades. Alright, got him. That was ugly. 2 STs, 7 evades,
So
1
yeah,
ad.
now you see what a trolley Spriggan looks like, and why it's a reset point.
Yeah, we have access to that evade move in our kit, but it's not really as useful for us.
Never is.
Never is.
For context, I had a reasonably good Spriggan fight, and I still lost 25 seconds to it.
I saved 1 second.
I don't have I don't have real splits for this anymore, so I have no idea how I did. Like, I look for my live split for this, and it's just not there. Like, huh, okay. Whatever you say, buddy.
Yeah, live split is weird sometimes about missing files. By the way, that bird that we just saw was Pokiel, and that is one of the wisdoms. So this is another one of those things where we kind of have to do this quest to unlock something else that we're going to need to do here later. But this introduces us to Watts, and if you've ever played a Seiken Densetsu game, you are very familiar with Watts, although the Watts in this version of the game is pretty hilarious. He's still a master blacksmith, but his brain is a little bit addled. He often forgets things and is very confused about even some of the most common everyday things. There is actually a quest where his wallet goes missing, and he asks you to bring him material to build a new wallet so that he can pay, and I think it's Nick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he thinks that if he remakes his wallet, the money he lost will be in that wallet.
That does not work out well for him.
No. It is very amusing to watch, though.
I do want to live in a world where Watts' theories of how things work is, though. I would love that. I've lost my wallet so many times.
That would be really nice, yes. Hi, Dead Bear, bye, Dead Bear.
Also, yeah, this Lebane fight is not my favorite thing in the world.
No. Minimizing Lebane. So Lebane and Tropicalo both have the same rough mechanics, which is 2 hands that it spawns off, takes 100 of its own HP and spawns off a hand. This means that you can't kill it any faster than you can kill the hands, and you're only doing like 100 HP per hand. Each small bar of HP on the screen is 100 HP, so I was seeing green on your screen, Araka, which means that you're doing 400 to 500 damage to the left hand to take 100 HP off of Tropicalo or Rockacalo, right? That's slow, right? Like, even at their best, those fights are slow. So we try to minimize that level because that minimizes the amount of hands we have to kill to get the job done, right? Then you add the fact that the right hand has an attack that does 90% of your HP by and large. And for Tropicalo, it's usually 100% of your HP. And confusion and some spells that are thrown in with status effects, and that fight can just go sideways sometimes.
And yet I still save time on it relative to my PB splits. how bad that fight must have been. Not much, only 3 seconds, but still.
And I've definitely had PBs with the Bond deaths in them before.
Come on, buddy. Let's go. If at all possible, you really do want to try to get the blue heads to spawn last, especially if you cannot get the red head down before it kind of kamikazes. It takes more time for it to die from kamikaze than it does from you killing it. So sometimes you can get lucky, but a lot of the times the red heads are butt heads. But if you ever do any crafting, this quest is also mandatory because basically you need watts to build your shop and quote unquote teach you how to smith.
Do you really need Watts, or do you just need his great helm?
You definitely, unfortunately, you need Watts.
Oh, Watts
only
is
do you-
all buddy.
not-
I need his great helm and a great helm and another great helm and nothing
Yeah,
else.
not only do you have to get his hammer for him, right? Like you actually need him to.
1 million strikes.
1 million strikes. I was just kidding about the million strikes.
He's such a dupe. I love him.
So close to getting an actual kill on the right hand, the last one. Oh well. Ignore it.
Alright, so this is another one of those, we have to do this to unlock other things quest. So these are the, as I affectionately term them, the Penguin Pirates. And they came over
Appropriate.
here, they came over here looking for treasure. And what they encountered was fairies and their quote-unquote master who've been turning the penguins to stone as they go along. So they were kind of looking for a way at first to rescue their friends, and now they just kind of want to get out of there with their hides. But this is going to be our first introduction to, to Tote, who was another one of those wisdoms I was talking about.
Yep.
Heckin' shriekers.
Oh yeah.
The shrieker stunlock is a thing. So
Oh,
we
it's very real.
we haven't talked too much about status ailments in this run, but there are definitely a couple of things that'll stun you. You can get poisoned, I think, too, right?
Yeah.
You can be confused, and confusion works the same way in this game as it does in Secret of Mana, where it kind of reverses your D-pad on you. So they're still here, they still exist, and they're still a big pain in the butt.
Yeah, the status effects you'll see most commonly are stars above your head, like spin stun, or hit stun. Then green stun, which I have no idea what it is, but it's terrible and it locks you forever. And then confusion. You will very rarely see the other status effects. You might see poison, but it's irrelevant. Like we sometimes see flame burn, but it's mostly irrelevant. We never see frozen. We never see petrified. Like you could if you got really unlucky with the basilisks, but so yeah.
I've gotten really unlucky with the basilisks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can happen. But yeah, for the most part, the real killers are green stun, confusion, and stars confusion. And yeah, the stars thing can happen multiple ways. It can happen from being hit multiple times. It can happen from spinning too much. It can happen from an enemy just hitting you with something that causes stun. It's also the most common status effect you'll get on enemies.
Yeah, the spin strikes that you've been seeing, if you do them in too close a proximity to the enemies, it will cause that stun.
Yep. That makes sense that it's paralyzed. Thank you. Alright.
Those poor penguins.
Forsake the sea for the sea. I see.
Oops. Okay, this shrieker needs to buzz off.
Those shriekers are definitely the ones I have the most trouble with. That 2 shriekers and a teddy fight on the North Shore.
You can go down and do a different, do the southern route, which only has 1 encounter, but it has 2 screens to it. So it just depends on your preference. Everything is confusing me today, which is, I don't honestly, not too far off from IRL, so.
So the strategy that I had for the Gorgon fight that I just had was to try to chain normal attacks off of it, because if you can chain the first 2 hits of a 3-hit combo for normal attacks, eventually you can actually sort of stun the boss and can unload kind of safely with power attacks. That went reasonably well for me. And I think it's the only boss that we currently chain normal attacks off of rather than trying to do either power attacks or counter strikes.
I tried it with Boreal Hound and it does not work well.
Yeah, so the reason we do is because not only is that another boss that has teleports, but it is a boss that has teleports that take 5 seconds per teleport. So if it decides to teleport, it might as well have just used an ST, and it usually follows up the teleports with an ST. So it's like a 15-second time loss if it gets to take an action sometimes. It's just miserable.
And it can actually start off the battle before you could land a hit on it with a teleport, although that is kind of rare.
That's pretty rare, but it can happen.
I've had it happen a few times, but that's not the usual way that battle works.
Yeah.
I love the scene with Tote and the penguins at the end, and he's just ridiculously over-exaggerating the size of the Gorgon eye. He's like, it goes from all the way over here, from off the screen, to all the way over here at the end of the land.
Yep. It is another unlock quest. While it involves fairies and stuff, we're really just unlocking this land so we can do the real stuff, which is coming shortly. Yeah, if it does the sidestep in the middle, it is almost that wide, but.
If only we could do that to Hito. Man, that would be so nice.
Yeah.
Hito is one of the trolliest bosses in the Dragon Run, and its ability to teleport and then take a very long time to execute the attacks it does after it teleports and then come back, it's just...
Yeah, it's a lot. All right, here comes my favorite part of this run, Toad's Yeet. You see, because he's named Toad, and he throws something. Toad's Yeet.
Alright, so we are going to make a little bit of a side step here. We are going to go see Matilda back in Gato. And she's going to tell us that Dana has kind of disappeared and asks if we would go look for her. But on the way back, we're gonna actually deal one more time with the master businessman Nick and help him gather some green ball buns. Why do we do this quest again?
We need the AF.
Oh, okay.
This is how we get the doll.
Oh, right. Okay. I knew there was a reason for it, I just didn't remember what it was.
Hey, there's Petrify.
And there's kind of an interesting, weird thing about the timing and the timer when you are collecting green ball buns with Nick. So there's that little bit of a log in the middle of the waterfall, and if you stand on that log in any way, shape, or form, it stops the timer from the fairy that you need to appear at the end of this little mini quest. The good thing is, though, is because you've already traversed through the caverns of Gato once, you do get to be teleported right to the waterfall, which I appreciate. But yeah, the pixelation is weird, because if you even set a foot or a toe onto that log, the fairy will never appear.
Yeah. I've seen rumors that there is a positioning that you can talk to the fairy from, right? Like you can get close enough to talk to the fairy when it spawns, but I have not seen that positioning before. There's rumors in old speedrunning documents of that positioning existing, but I have never seen it proven. I hate that nun. The nun's like, Matilda wants to see you, but if you try and go in without talking to the nun, they're just like, no, you can't go in. Then you talk to the nun, it's like, oh yeah, no, Matilda wants to see you, you should go in. Just like, you
just let me in the first time.
Why are we having this conversation? You wanted to talk to me, you could have just said so.
So this is the true reason that we need to be here on Lake Kilma. So this is actually where Dana has gone, and this is where we're gonna find her.
Game doesn't tell us where to find her. It's very much on us.
I love this game. I love it to bits, but it is obtuse as heck. The only quest line that is straightforward, and the one that most people end up stumbling on when they play this game casually for the first time, blind and without a guide, is the dragon storyline, because it is very straightforward. Each different place where you have to go is basically given to you at each step of the way, and it is the only heckin' quest that does that.
Yep, it's very true.
So on my screen, you're seeing Erwin for the first time, and Dana is trying to confront Erwin in order to restore Matilda's powers, and Erwin just easily dispatches Dana, and then we are going to sort of chase after them.
And the original translation, it says, "Is he invincible?" There, I prefer the new translation. Very not invincible. Like you swing at a guy once, he rejects you, and you're like, "Oh, he must be invincible." Like, come on.
So there is one change to the remaster that I don't like, and you're about to not hear it on my screen. When Boreal Count appears in the original for the PlayStation 1, you'll hear him go "awoo." In this one, there is no awoo, so I just do a phantom awoo.
Strong agree. Losing that was a big loss.
Yeah.
I miss that awoo every time, and I will also do a phantom awoo. Just in honor. In honor of our fallen awoo.
Yeah. My guess is it has something to do with the translation between CD cutscenes, which the original was using, and the modern ones. we see the modern ones go by like twice speed already in the places we see them. So my guess is that just in that process, either something was lost or, right, like something happened, right? And that's why we lost the Awu there. But it's still vexing because it's a very good set piece. Really highlights the Boreal Hound.
So I had a really nice Boreal Hound. Only one little hiccup where I got out of a power cancel setup that I had, but I was able to time the ST well, so I didn't get paralyzed. So pretty good overall.
Yeah,
And now we
Boreal
just have a long
Hound.
cutscene.
Boreal Hound is very trolly. He's really pretty, but he is really trolly.
Again,
yeah,
a lot of
boss-
STs, good movement. Some solid attacks that really disrupt you, that are fairly quick. Like, yeah.
But yeah, picking up what RPG said, the boss sprite work and the sprite work in general for this game is just so gorgeous. The bosses are like, there's just so much detail and otherworldliness to some of these bosses. They're so pretty. And some of them are just really like kind of actually scary looking. Like they did a lot of good work with this.
Aha, not so cheeky this time, are you, Chubin Hood? Yeah, there's a couple of places where, thinking about what you said, Mecca, with the change in the translation, there's a couple of places where lines were retranslated or redone, that make them so much better than the original and so much less awkward.
Yeah, the original had a number of places where they compacted lines down to fit into the same kind of rough text box layout as the Japanese. And generally it was not to their benefit. And so the retranslation largely fixed those cases, so there's a lot less awkward language.
I think especially the ending, I'm not going to spoil it, but the ending for Dragon is much less awkward to read through now.
Yep. Yeah, there's a couple that the ending to Dragon actually had what I consider a bug, and 3 of what are generally auto-scrolling text boxes were not auto-scrolling text boxes, which is a frustrating thing as a speedrunner to be like, oh, like here's an input break. No, there isn't.
Oh,
you have to
yeah.
press a button here.
That
in the original.
that was so annoying.
And that's been fixed. So yeah, my feeling is that those, again, right, like we're just kind of small glitches in the translation process.
That is not a good place to be for that one.
Okay, I need to remember to save data.
My doggo is a bad doggo.
If I'm gonna catch up, I'm gonna need your doggo to be a very bad doggo.
Not that bad, but he was a bad doggo. He cornered me with electricity and I couldn't get around.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you have this very long cutscene with the next wisdom, which is Selva of the Winds. And Selva knows Matilda from when she was younger and more powerful. And he tells her, well, the end of times are near. And the main player, and they start listing off like the main players. So the main character, Dana, Escad, Erwin, her, and then people from the Dragon storyline and the Jumi storyline like Elazul. and then
actually, it's in reverse. They name off the main characters of the storylines and the main character? Oh, you think so too?
Yeah, but then Silva's like, when you die, you're gonna become one of the 7 wisdoms. You're gonna become the 7th wisdom. So don't lose heart. It'll be fine. Totally fine.
Ugh.
So this quest here in the mines, we're gonna start, but we're not gonna finish. You can actually finish it, and it gives you a little bit more of the backstory between Eskad, Matilda, and Erwin, but it is very roundabout and leads you through all different areas of the mines, and is kind of a pain in the butt to finish.
Lord. Royal Hound is not interested in playing nice with me today.
Boy, you are having all of the bad boss RNG, aren't you?
Come on. Desperation ST. Oh no, he countered mine. What are we gonna get? Lightning? The worst one? No, okay. The dash. Alright, we dodged it. Can we get the kill?
Okay, I have joined with Dana.
Ugh. Ugh. That was bad. Alright.
But yeah, that little side quest kind of just takes you a little bit into the childhoods of Erwin and Eskad and Matilda.
Exactly, and it contains the precipitating event where Matilda gives away / has her power taken by Erwin to Erwin, and then immediately two-thirds of them appear to die in a rock fall. Rocks fall, 2/3 of them die.
But now, here back at Gato, Dana is back, and she's imploring Matilda to go to the land of the fairies because not only does time pass differently there, but things can be changed magically, basically. And Dana wants her to go there so that her friend does not die before her time. And of course, Eskad being Eskad is like, you've been taken in by that demon Erwin. You're just as bad as he is, blah, 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 blah. So Matilda's
he runs in and slashes her and says, the wound is shallow enough. Think this over. It's like,
Yeah,
wow.
He's a massive jerk. Massive, massive jerk. So Matilda, trying to stop this, teleports them back to the Mindus ruins here where Erwin is. And they have this very strange little conversation about how they've both changed over time and how, he wants to take her to the world of the fairies because, she won't necessarily die so quickly. Because they do still have some feelings for each other. They do still love each other. And Matilda's just like, I just want to do what I want to do, and I want to be free to make my own choices. And that's kind of what has driven all of this, is she never wanted to be the abbess, she just wanted to live her own life.
Yeah, Erwin represented everything that Matilda kind of wanted and was denied, which is sort of the freedom to choose her own life. And there's a kind of foolishness in her chasing after Erwin, given that he's kind of a jerk in his own right, but it's kind of understandable why she does that, because she was cloistered her whole life and denied that freedom. So there's, I think, a little on-the-nose nature with one of the quests, sort of a reference to Romeo and Juliet as sort of naive, star-crossed lovers and the tragedies that can bring. There's a little bit of shades of that in the story here with Matilda and Erwin.
And the quest that you two are on that I'm about to start is, named star-crossed lovers in the English translation. There, like, it's very on the nose. That this is 2 torches describes to us in essence both Eskad and Dana, right? Like the difference between them. But star-crossed lovers is where we really get the establishment of Erwin and Matilda. Right. Unless you do Pokio Dreamteller, at which point you get the real backstory.
If I remember correctly, the incentive isn't merely to save Dana, it's to take Dana to fight or win. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay. How do
We
we
need-
get? Where do we go to recruit her? Because I've never done that actually.
So when you go to get the Brooch of Love, she will be in your party after this. Once you go to get the Brooch of Love, she will separate from you and stand right next to Matilda as she does normally.
Mhm.
Talk to her, right?
Oh.
Like, and she will ask to join, right? So she is actually easy. You can get Escod if you side with him as well, but he's in the depths of the jungle where he normally is. It's annoying.
Okay. Well, I need to go back to Gupto and get her then.
Well, I mean, you get her when you get Brooch of Love, right?
Well, yeah, but
Right.
I'm now putting down the artifacts and have separated from her.
Oh,
So I
okay.
need-
You didn't
Yeah.
get her then. Yep.
This is why it's important to practice for sort of like all the
For
contingencies
incentives.
you run. Yeah, I should
Yeah.
really learn to do that.
Yes. Again, this is where, having done all events and backups means that if we've done it, we figured out like, oh, how do you reset the dud bears if you screw them up? I know the RPG chick knows that one. Do you?
I do not.
So you can talk to either the bartender or a dud bear that you have already succeeded on.
Mhm.
We'll reset the dud bears that you have failed on. If a dud bear's in GAC state, you can talk to a dud bear in dub state or the bartender.
Oh, okay.
It's faster to talk to the dub bears though, because they don't lead you
Yes.
through the entire dialogue of, "Hey, this is how you do this
Yeah,
thing
here's
again."
how you do this again. Yep. No, it's definitely faster to talk to dud bears, but you can actually talk to the bartender as well. It's just not the optimal choice.
Do you have a moment for me to cut in here?
For sure.
Absolutely.
I have a couple of donations, and I want to talk about an incentive that's coming up. So I have an anonymous $10 donation, and then I have another $10 donation from Shala Kitty, who says, I can only donate a little, but I gotta try and get some momentum going for only pets in Final Fantasy VI Beyond Chaos, because kitties. And I just want to let y'all know, you guys did vote to save Dana, so I think this is a very pro-kitty group of people we have here. And I have been informed through chat that we have no less than 3 cats in the running if you donate towards the Only Pets sprites for this next upcoming run. So if you want to see kitties, please go ahead and get those donations in.
I personally prefer Girls World and Beyond Chaos, but that's just me.
I want to see kitties. I really do want to see kitties. How far are we from meeting that, by the way?
I think it's a bid war.
That is correct. Hold on a second. Let me pull up my numbers. Right now, we are leading with Girls World at $50, and we, I think that would be $10 towards Only Pets.
I also really like that the flag is called Girls World.
It is still a good flag. Don't get me wrong, but kitties.
That's fair. We have murdered Escod as he's deserved.
I love the way Dana runs because she runs on all fours and it's
Yeah,
just...
she runs on all fours. It's good.
It's so cute. So, Infertile Doll is one of those extra quests that we don't technically need to do for Faerie itself, but also but will give us artifacts that we need to complete our 18 artifacts.
Right. It takes 18 artifacts on the map as well as a completed mainline quest to get Cage of Dreams, which is the penultimate quest to populate. And so going through Faerie mainline, we actually are a couple artifacts short without going out of our way. And this quest is one of the ones that we go out of our way for.
Yeah, there's others that we could do, but they're a little bit longer, so this makes more sense time-wise.
Yeah. Yep, Infernal Doll and Faerie's Light, which comes after it, are the two that we do that with.
Unfortunately, that does mean that we have to see Gilbert be a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the path through the junkyard here is very set, and I believe if you end up going the wrong way, there is one of the toys that you need to speak to get the correct path.
I've actually never tried to recover that one, so I don't actually know the recovery for it.
I'm pretty sure there's a toy that you can speak to that will give you the recovery path if you really happen to wander off in the wrong direction.
Yeah, much like the jungle, the jungle before you get the spells on you, the junkyard is right. Like there, you will go to screens that seem like they're the same screen. They're not. They're just slightly different. They'll have different mobs on them. They'll have different paths out of them. If so, yeah, if you get off path, you might think you're fine. You're not fine. And when you try to go to the boss room, it won't be there. And you'll be like, why? I don't understand.
Okay, my controller decided to disconnect for a second. That was weird.
Oh heck!
Rude.
Hey, I charged
Weren't-
it before.
Weren't you having troubles with that before too?
Yeah, thankfully I do have a backup controller, so if this one does die, I'll pull out the other one.
Oh, good. Okay.
I've got some more hype for kitties if you all have time.
Yes.
Sure. We're like we said, we're basically kind of in garbage time in terms of the plot. Right, we're all doing kind of filler stuff, so it's a great time.
Casual Geek Dave donates $20 and says $20 for kitties. And Faizu, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, I'm sorry if I'm not, donates $10 and says, only pets for Final Fantasy VI because kitties. We need our revenge after Indivisible, and also cats are best. I agree, cats are best.
So minor note, we talked about placement before. You see here, we've held on to a whole bunch of artifacts for a really long time. We get the last boss area for the arc, we place it right next to home, right? Like we have done our best here again to minimize the number of artifacts placed and the distance from home to make Erwin the easiest boss he can be. And he's still not going to be pleasant. So that's another specific piece of the routing here. We hold on to all this stuff until now, specifically for that reason.
Also, that little dude at the end of the junkyard quest, the first junkyard quest there, looks
Louis.
like Orko from He-Man.
He does. Louis looks like Orko. It's very true.
Aw, getting Dudbear blocked.
Yeah, Dudbear's helping us out. We need a lot of help, Dudbear.
Yeah, that bottom Dudbear used to be my favorite Dudbear because of the selections you need in order to make him by a lamp. It's the easiest.
The agreeable Dudbear, yeah.
Yeah, and then I started running Faerie, and he was in my way every time I needed to go buy a weapon.
Yep.
And he became the least favorite Dudbear.
Yeah, coming from all events, we always went to the item shop there anyway, so like he was never our friend, but at least he was easy to talk to.
Yeah.
And we have to go back there again to trigger Siren Song, so we have to sneak by him another time. And Capella is standing there too, so we have to sneak by him and Capella there.
Oh yeah.
At some point in all events, and so yeah, like he has never been my friend. Easy to talk to, but not my favorite Dudbear.
Although I will say, I have had Dudbear number 3 on the right side of the map get in my way a couple of times.
Yeah, also true.
All events except the last Gilbert 1 category.
Yeah, right.
I love that. We do that on bingo boards. Like we'll do like all events bingo, and we'll have like leave Irwin Stone, which is how I found that the fastest way to leave Irwin Stone is to do all of the joke answers.
Oh goodness.
Like do all 3 joke answers, and you know you do it for the tower of the birthday cake to feed 500 people. Happy birthday! and then he explodes into a bunch of triangles. It's great.
Yeah, for those of you who might not necessarily be familiar with what we're talking about, Erwin is a big womanizing jerk.
Not Erwin.
Gilbert.
Gilbert.
Well, Erwin kind of is too, but Gilbert is.
Well, yeah.
But yeah,
Erwin's
Gilbert
not a
is
womanizer, but he is a jerk.
Gilbert is the embodiment of an R nice guys post.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he's just very, he's very in his own head in terms of like thinking about love. He's very, yeah, he's a classic like Lothario type, right? Like he's just like, I'm in love with everyone and everything, and oh my god, please shut up.
Yeah, he's just kind of he's romanticized way beyond what any relationship he gets into actually is, and even with this one with Monique, you know, it gets to the point where they're out on the balcony talking, and Gilbert is like, "Oh, we should let the bears make those lamps while we go and travel the world," and Monique kind of gets put off by this because she loves making her lamps and she enjoys what she does, and she says every day is like a dream to me because this is what I really like to do. And Gilbert's like, you don't have dreams? Dang, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, like her dream is to like live her life like the way she is, and Gilbert's just like, that's like, those aren't dreams. See ya, baby. Just like,
Yeah, he's very, very, what's the word? Set in what he thinks a relationship should be, and any deviation from that, he's like, oh, bye.
bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Thank goodness for Cathinja. Cathinja is the best.
Cathinja puts him where he belongs, or rather, Cathinja makes him what he should be, and then Mr. Sotheby puts him where he belongs, in the basement.
But yeah, this does give Monique here one of my favorite lines in the game. He wanted much bigger lamps than the little ones I had, but its size does not matter.
Oh, not just that, but much bigger, small paws lamp than the one I had. Right? Like there was an explicit pause. She's using that as a euphemism for something.
Yeah.
What the euphemism is for is an exercise for the reader.
The thing about Gilbert is he just really like has to be the centaur of attention, and he can't.
Oh no.
Yeah. I'm not a horse.
I'm not gonna apologize for that, but I feel like I should.
No, you shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't.
In the text of Gilbert Love is Blind, he like the pirate crew says some kind of horse. You know, you got a horse and some sea mammals, right? Like, and he's like, I'm not a horse. So he's very clearly a centaur, not a horse.
Excuse me, Faizu, that is perfectly PG. If you interpret it in any other way, that is completely on you.
Yeah,
Monique
like,
is
I
clearly
assume
talking
it's
about her
dreams.
dreams. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like that's my read. Like,
Okay, let's see if I can do the Selva skip.
So this game doesn't have a lot of glitches.
No.
But there are ways to wiggle past our friend Silva there on Leucemia, the giant serpent who decided to swallow a volcano.
Yep.
And I was able to do it, so I feel good about
It's
life.
much easier with an NPC. Not impossible without one, but much easier with one.
I can do the second one pretty consistently, but I almost never can do the first one. So I just usually not bother with it.
The second one is way easier.
Honestly, they're both really easy for me because I've practiced them down pretty hard. Essentially, you run up to Selva, you run back half the distance, and then you run back to Selva. And your NPC will do exactly what you need them to do. Like, because they will go, like, you run back half the distance, you've met the NPC, and then it's like, oh, okay. Or like, and then you run back, and that's that. So
Yeah, but you have to consider that usually when you're doing this run, we side with Escad, and then we don't take anybody here
have
with
an
us.
NPC.
Yeah. So it does make the first skip a little bit more of a pain in the butt.
Yep.
Did you gack?
I did. That was
no.
I gacked against the unpleasant one.
Oh, so lore-wise, Leucemia is a worm, ancient serpentine creature who once tried to destroy the world, ate a bunch of cities and all that, and then died because it ate a volcano.
Or tried to eat a volcano.
Or yeah, you know, it died. And so what Erwin's doing here is trying to resurrect Leucemia to destroy the world, because in his mind that's how to free himself and Matilda.
You just block my counter-strike, you massive jerk. Hey, Dana honey, I'm gonna need you to also stop stealing my crystals.
I'm just mad that there's no fight skip in this version, that they appear to have fixed the collision zones for the fight on Leucemia.
Oh, yeah.
That I figured out how to do right before it became irrelevant.
So
In the original PSX version, you could skip over one of the fights on Leucemia, and it's the only fight we figured out how to actually do a skip on. Anyway, go ahead and talk about Selva Skip 2, if you want.
Yeah, the second Selva Skip is way easier. As you enter into the loading zone, just hold right and up on your D-pad, and you will go exactly where you need to go, and then you can sort of walk wiggle past Silva. The setup is sort of as clean as it can be.
Yeah, it's a much easier little skip.
Right, that's the one you can do even without an NPC. You don't need to, right, like you can just walk right past him.
Yep.
And there is a similar non-NPC one for Selva 1 too, but yeah, the setup is definitely harder. But in all events, we have Nick going through here, so I learned the NPC using one and have yet to learn the non-NPC using one.
I have never successfully done the Selva 1 skip without another NPC in my party.
I remember spending like maybe 10 or 15 minutes trying to get it consistently. I almost have like, I think, a good way to understand it, and one day I'll probably just do that so it's recorded somewhere. That might be useful as a tutorial. But the Selva skip
I've watched numerous tutorial on it.
Yeah. But the Selva skips really only save like 3 seconds. So
yeah.
Unless you do bad things and
unless you screw up the text prompt.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I think we've all done that at one time or another. Told Selva, no, we can't take it, and then he takes you basically off the snack, and you have to go back and go through the whole thing.
Yep. Yeah, Selva's there. His purpose is to give you an out on Leucemia because it has no normal exit. And so one of the prompt is essentially, would you like to leave? And if you say yes, or rather if you say no, I can't take it, you'll leave. So like that's his actual functional purpose. He's not just there to be annoying. He's there to provide people with an out.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about
having an NPC. Yeah.
It's even worse if you have an NPC for the Mana Goddess, because that is one of the reasons I don't enjoy Dragon as much. Like, I can deal with the really stupid RNG from weapon drops.
Oh, you take Guri, don't you?
I take, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But there really is not a convenient time to stick him in the corral.
The most convenient time would be during Cage of Dreams.
It would be.
Right, like when you go off screen in Cage of Dreams to
go around
right,
to
like
the corral
instead go north instead of south, right? Like, and so you're on the corral screen, right? Like it's just another screen to get rid of it. But you're right that that's still not great, right? Like it's still an extra, 5 to 10 seconds. Easier now that our loads aren't as long, because this isn't a disc game, but still.
Yeah, but honestly, it might actually be worth it just to not have him get in the way of the goddess.
Yeah.
Send her flying in the wrong directions.
Yeah.
Alright, Erwin is down.
Nice.
How bad was your Erwin fight?
4 attacks. But two of the ones where I had to retreat to the corner.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Irwin tends to double up. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Erwin
usually
loves
it
to
gets-
do back-to-back STs.
Yeah, exactly what I was gonna say. And usually the second ST that he'll do in a chain is one where it's like almost a full screen attack. You can just sort of retreat to a corner to avoid it, but you just have to wait it out.
I love that I've gotten like 3 more spiral claw drops that I did not get from the mummy monkey in the temple. It's like going through a dragon and then picking up like 50 brave blades.
Yep. I mean, you would not believe the amount of levitines that I have on my all events runs, let me tell you.
So after defeating Erwin, we get news that Matilda has also passed away, and so the sort of postscript for the Faerie storyline, it just sort of goes automatically. You can't match with text, so you all can read the end of the story, but it is Matilda meeting up with Erwin in the afterlife.
She does become the 7th wisdom, as she and Selva discussed. And then, yeah, meets up with Erwin for a little chat at the bottom of the underworld.
And then, tragically, Erwin decides that he would rather be reborn than spend eternity with Matilda, that he needs to free himself from her. And so Matilda is kind of... The ending is very tragic.
Yeah,
that he chooses to leave her.
This is definitely the saddest of the 3 storylines. Dragon and Jumi honestly have pretty good endings.
Yeah, the endings are positive. Yeah, no, this is a tragedy straight up, and it's... As when I was younger, it didn't hit me nearly as well. Like, it just kind of seemed stupid. But as I've gotten older, I've gotten a little more of a taste for the idea that, like, a little more understanding of the idea that Erwin's just kind of so locked into the, right, like, being a demon and, like, how people treat him and see him that he can't, right, like, he can't, like, he repeatedly denies Matilda's attempts to go. He's like, I can't possibly be the person you want. It's like, we can be anything, right? Like, it's like, I can't even touch you because I would crush you. And she's like, no, you wouldn't. Like, we don't have physical forms anymore. Like, he just comes up with excuse after excuse as to why he can't possibly. And then, yeah, he just like, nope.
In about like 30 seconds or so, Matilda's gonna have probably my favorite line in the
So
game.
good.
It's just such a good line.
It's a good line.
You'll know it when you see it.
Yeah, that is definitely an amazing line, and I'm so glad they didn't change that.
Yep.
There is one other line that I really like in the Jumi storyline, which is kind of cute. That
I talked to Selva in Japanese. I don't know if it's the first or the second one.
It should be the first one.
So I should answer first?
Hold
Yeah,
on.
I think you mashed through just the first option.
Yeah, as long as the options are the same, then it should be the first
Yeah,
one.
the options are the same. Just for a second, I was like, crud, is it default to yes or no?
And there we go. Who are you to tell us to be gone? I am the universe.
I am the universe. Away
What
from
a
you,
flex.
shadows.
What a flex.
The only
And then she downplays it afterwards. She's like, "Oh no, that's just a simple spell of truth." Like, wasn't even trying.
Yeah, despite things not ending very well for Matilda, she is amazing as a character. She is one of my favorites. But yeah, the other line that gets changed in the Jumi is when you're going down to talk to Diana, and they move her statue from the basement into the arena, and it used to be that Madonna
I'm in Venus.
statue. Yeah, the Venus statue. I moved it to the basement, but I moved that statue.
Oh. I am happy about the line change where Esmeralda no longer calls Elazul a sissy. He's like when you're in the Geo gem shop, right? Like she's like, if you're a knight, right, like you should fight, you should act like one, right? In the current translation, in the PSX translation, it was if you're a knight, don't act like a sissy.
Well,
right.
that's a good change, though.
So that's it. Yeah, that's a good change.
Yeah,
I'm happy with that change.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes
Sometimes
the things we do in the 90s don't age so well, right?
Yeah, I'm not happy with the change. I preferred when the summoning circle liked our hair sticks rather than saying that with hair sticks like that she can't fail.
Yeah.
I like those funky hair sticks. Very nice.
Those hair sticks are mentioned a couple of times too, because isn't Boyd like remove
Boyd
those hair
mentions
sticks,
it.
Sandra?
Yeah, when like Sandra, take off that silly outfit and get those crazy sticks out of your hair, or that hood if you're the male character. If the places where they refer to the female character's hair sticks, they refer to the male character's hood.
I think
So
that's
both of them
change
get-
too, right? I don't think the dialogue
they did.
actually
They-
gendered.
that was the case in PSX as well.
Okay.
It was the hood or the sticks, depending, in both.
So for the first time in the run, we get to go home, and then the first thing we do when we get home is leave.
Yeah. This is because in some cases, to cleanly advance plot triggers, you have to leave home without, you have to leave home via the exit, right? Like, I refer to this as a clean exit of home. There are ways to leave home like as a quest completion. They do not work for this purpose. Right? They just flat out do not work for this purpose. You have to leave home cleanly to progress the quest, and a number of the Jumi quests require this, as well as Cage of Dreams.
So many Jumi quests.
Yep, 2 or 3 Jumi quests require a clean exit, as well as Cage of Dreams, and it is somewhat vexing. Because, like, as a speedrunner, you'd like to route them in with something, and you can't.
Yeah, the biggest problem with doing it in Jumi is Lucky Clover, because Lucky Clover is dependent on the days of the week.
Oh, wow. I interrupted him before he got off a second ST after a first one, so I only got 3 STs.
Nice.
Nice.
I managed to combo him and keep him from triggering his second full screen.
Well, you had the nicest Irwin then, because both
Yeah.
Rocco and I had the 4 STs.
Yeah. No, I managed to stop the 4th ST somehow. Be nice if we could figure out how to do that consistently for obvious reasons.
Sometimes you just get lucky with that.
Sometimes you just get lucky, yeah. No, I've seen it happen to you as well. It's like sometimes you just get lucky.
Yeah, sometimes if you just manage to stun lock him with power cancels after the first ST, that's it. That's really all you can do.
I think I did a couple normals into power cancels and it was enough. Yeah, we go home. We find out that our Sproutling has fallen over because they're going to go and become part of a big tree. And then the Jerk Summoning Circle imprisons the Sproutling in dreams so that they can't become part of the mana tree. And then we have a big philosophical discussion about whether we should want stability or freedom. And then the guy lets us into the dream world to free the Sproutling. And of course, we skip most of that conversation because it takes time.
Yeah, because Pokiel is like, hey, you want to come in and listen to this conversation? No, Pokiel,
No.
I do not.
I have made that mistake a few times.
Yeah, and if you could say no, but if you walk in on them, you'll still hear part of it. You have to leave the screen, come back in, and then go inside, then you'll miss it completely. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, you could say no and still get a chunk of it if you don't leave the screen fully and then come back, which is interesting. I can't think of any other case where it's like that. And yeah, normally in the speedrun, we would take Escod. And that scene you saw there where they're telling us about the death and Dana is replying is pretty much why. Because Dana adds text boxes to the ending, as well as her conversation at the top of the tower is a little longer, but those text boxes there are the real killers because you can't mash through them. You just have to sit them out, and the Irwin route and the Escod route doesn't have them. Like, they just don't. So
Yeah,
like
the
you're
only
losing like 8 text boxes and 4 of them are auto scrollers. It's just like ugh.
Yeah, the only thing you get with Escat is that you find Escat at the top of Lusamia confronting
Yep.
Irwin and having epically failed to do so, and that's
Yep.
kind of his death throw. And that's it. He goes
Yeah, so-
"Brr, brr, brr, brr," and dies.
Yeah. So yeah, you
Mine
do.
is something like it's your turn to be the hero or something.
Yeah.
Yep. You'll have to be the hero. Your turn to be there, and then in PSX translation, he says and dies.
I
I
missed
like
that
the
actually.
translation
Yeah. Yeah, I like that one too. Much like how they fixed Lark's translation in PSX, it just goes whoa when he transforms, and now it's something a little more appropriate. As rather I'm in an input break, I'll remind you that the Speedrun Ragnarok is for Tank This, a charity marathon, raised quite a bit already, and the stretch goal, I don't even remember what the stretch goal is for 12, but we're a little over 700 away.
Well, I did offer to do lore percent at 12k if they got to 12k
That's right.
by the end of this run, but
It's
I don't
pretty
know,
dicey.
chat. I don't know, chat.
Yeah, you're gonna need a big one if you're gonna get make her do lore percent of. So normally that's a 4-hour-ish run, but 4-hour-ish run with all the cutscenes and the voice acting, that's a lot of content right there.
I mean,
Last time
we did
it
put
took
in a 2-hour, estimate. I could die a few times on the Mana Goddess to give everybody more time to donate.
I mean, I'm still in the input break, right? So we've still got some time because I'm far behind. But the key is the RPG segment by the end of her run, right? So they have to be the so they're the one that has to get Mana Goddess, has to see the eclipse.
Well, I mean, I did say just the end of the Legend of Mana run, so.
Okay. Being gracious.
Just saying, we did rally pretty hard for Only Pets, but there's only like a $15 difference between it and Only Girls. So it's still a pretty tight race. I would say if you really want to see some kitties, or not kitties for some reason, like, I would definitely want to get the donation in for that.
Eclipses aren't very likely. I'm not sure I've ever seen an eclipse in a speedrun attempt. I know it's possible. I know it's possible. I just don't think I've ever seen it. I saw you get close.
It's horrible.
I've seen you get close. I haven't seen you do it.
Oh, I definitely have
I'm
missed
sure
Mana
Lemur's
Goddess
seen it.
enough.
Yeah.
I think starting out, because it is very difficult when you're first learning this run to figure out kind of where to position yourself to counter-strike the Mana Goddess properly. It's really, really easy to get to see the eclipse if you're really bad at it.
Yeah, no, you'll see me fumble a little more than the other two on that front, I think, because I'm much more used to playing a route where I have a much higher powered weapon. And so where like the Mana Goddess is setting up 1 counter strike, whereas in this run it's setting up 5 counter strikes.
Yeah, times like this make me miss that nice OP hammer from All Stories.
Yeah, and All Stories and All Events are long enough runs that you get to bring Legend of Mana's somewhat legendarily complicated but overpowered tempering system into play. For these shorter runs, you just don't get enough time back, even with encounters on.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. This is the run that's the closest because you have to do the mines, but it still doesn't happen. Like, it's still not worth it.
It's not enough. I do know that Rocco is coming up close to the Mana Goddess fight, so I will let Scala know that time will happen on the last hit of the Mana Goddess for us.
Yep. When her health bar is reduced to 0.
Yeah, that'll be when time is. And I'm sure Rocco will call it out anyway, and so will we. But just so Scala is aware.
But yeah, there's a little bit of an encounter gauntlet of sorts before you actually can get to the final boss, which I'm finishing up here.
it's not just a gauntlet, but those encounters never respawn again. Right, like unlike every other screen in the game where you can fight the monsters, come back, and fight them again, these 4 encounters never respawn. Which is a bit of unique mechanics to it. These 4 groups, I should say.
Yeah, and if you don't go through that area and complete all 4, the Monogoddess will not appear.
Yep. Good, because there's some treasure chests in there with some really good tempering stuff.
Right.
There's
This
some- there's some-
mana goddess.
Yep.
Good luck, may your Monogoddess not be super trolly. Also, hi, Black Chocobo. How you doing?
There we go. All right.
Also, interesting side fact, which we didn't really mention. I know Mecha mentioned the fact that we do choose the hammer at the beginning to give us a little bit more attack power, because when we gain levels with it, that's what it does as its stat boost. But the weight of your weapons affects how quickly you can move around on the battlefield as well. So a heavier weapon like the hammer does cause you to move a little bit more slowly than you would. GG.
EG. That wasn't a great mana goddess fight for you.
Yeah, a little trolly. But I've had worse. I've had much better, but I've also had worse.
But yeah, where hammer is super slow, two-handed sword is slow, two-handed axe is slow, but the one-handed sword that we were using for the majority of the run is pretty speedy. The gloves are very speedy also. So it does make a difference if your wiggle walk is not up to par like mine.
Yeah. And so speaking of that, we didn't talk about the fact that wiggling in combat is different from wiggling in non-combat scenarios. And so with the slower weapons, the better your wiggle has to be to make up for the slower movement weapons, the better your wiggle in combat has to be to make up for the distance. The task can wiggle walk basically as effectively in combat, can move as effectively as sword can, but like for humans, it's a bit
Except
much.
for lemur.
Except for lemur. But
No, he said for humans.
for humans.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
But yeah, it is possible to wiggle walk with a heavy weapon pretty fast, but you have to be very on point. In combat, you essentially get a long step and a slow step, and if you just hold one direction, you alternate them. Wiggling allows you to keep doing the long step over and over and over again, but doing it perfectly requires some practice.
That's why lemur is he of the cyborg hands.
Oh yeah, the spears combo, much like the staves combo, is terrible because the third swing has no range for no reason whatsoever, and the fourth swing is about as bad. They both do this really close in spin, and the spin in front of you, then spin over your head, and both of them are pretty terrible. I do, however, think the Spears ST at the end is one of the best, but we don't really use STs
That's time for
offensively.
me too. Time.
GG's?
Oh, GG.
It's like a 150-50 or so for you?
Yeah. I snagged her a little bit with a big bang after her ST. So
Nice.
I got lucky.
That's something I need to practice, is timing the ST stuff for the Mana Goddess fight.
Yeah.
It's rough timing, honestly.
It looked a little rough. Like, I caught the end of yours.
Well, her STs all have such different timing, too. Right? Like, so you really do have to kind of think around it. Yeah, no, RPGCs was a faster fight for sure, as Dragon Lord noted. Less of the Eclipse.
Yeah, it's purely because I managed to snag her with part of the Big Bang attack. That's the only reason.
Well, I think you're also just generally more experienced and familiar with sort of the height you need to be at to get the Mana Goddess. I'm still working through that.
Sometimes.
Alright.
But while Mecha is making his climb up the mana tree, just to let you folks know, if anybody else can be corrupted into speedrunning this amazing game, please feel free to join our Discord. It's an absolutely amazing speedrun community. We're not the biggest, but the people are extremely helpful. They are very, very willing to answer any questions that you have. The guides for the different runs are mostly up to date, except for All Stories, which Mecha and I have been tampering with a little bit. But everything else has a nice, very detailed, up-to-date guide, and just it's an incredible community. So if you are
Agreed.
interested, yeah.
The Mana speedrunning community largely is very fantastic, and the Legend of Mana sort of subset in particular is really friendly, really nice. But the whole group is just wonderful people.
I'm still looking.
They absolutely helped me so much getting started on this, and here I am running it in a marathon.
I'm still looking for somebody who is femme-leaning to join me for things like Patal's run. So.
Sort of a fun fact. I really love this fact. I don't know if the audio is on mine or not, because the end credits theme is going, and it is a song with lyrics written and performed, I think, in Swedish, I want to say.
Swedish, yeah.
But the vocalist who sings this was part of the band that wrote the song Cotton Eye Joe. And I just think that is a wonderful little musical fact.
Great.
It is.
I knew.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew that that the Cotton Eye Joe thing was like stunningly a random Swedish pop thing, right? But I did not know that the vocalist was involved in this as well.
Yeah, I think she sings the second verse of it.
Yeah, no, I know what part you're speaking of, the Cotton Eye Joe thing. Like I said, I knew that was a Swedish, like there was a Swedish background there. It was that I didn't know she was involved with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the only chocobo in this run, as RPG Chick mentioned, fighting it.
Yeah. There's another one if you do the Wisdom of Gaius.
And then there's a pair in Medora, but only if you go left, and you only do that if you're doing all events.
Yeah.
Because
you
nobody
do
wants.
Well, I mean, you do visit Medora Beach in Dragon for the extra artifact, but
Right.
But you don't go left.
You don't go left. Yep, exactly. Yep, this is a Shimamura joint, and she came back to supervise the remaster.
Yeah, Shimamura is one of the best composers in the business.
Yeah.
I absolutely love every one of her soundtracks.
Agreed.
Yep.
And just to get a little bit into my psychology, the soundtrack is the biggest factor that determines whether I'm going to speedrun a game or not. Like, because I'm going to be listening to the music so many times, it has to be what I would consider like top tier music. So
That's
One of
certainly
the only-
reasonable.
See, one of the only reasons I ever put up with Mystic Quest as long as I did.
Yeah, Mystic Quest music definitely punches above its weight for what is a very RNG heavy speed run.
Yeah, there is very little exception I make for having music I'm not extremely ecstatic about, but the funness of the run I think makes up for everything else in that Shining Force CD. But yeah, if you enjoyed what we do, please give the three of us a follow. Rocco streams probably the most out of all of us, though.
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, for sure.
RPG
Great.
Chick's
That's
busy
incredibly
recently. Well, Chick's life has gotten busy, and I tend to only stream either when I'm pushing on something and when I'm practicing for a marathon, or when there's a tournament of some sort going on in a community that I'm in. So if you stream consistently on weekends, then
Yeah, I don't think I stream that much at all because I'm working on my dissertation. Like,
Still more frequently than either of us.
maybe more frequently, maybe. Dissertation. What on?
yeah. So I'm a cognitive scientist by training, and I study why people believe the things they do about reality. So, from why they accept science or reject science to why they accept or reject conspiracy theories. And so the last year and a half for me has been
Quite
interesting.
Yeah.
And it dovetails with a lot because
Come on.
there are a lot of like mental, like scientific facts and myths about health and mental health as we've seen in the last year. So it just does a little bit of everything.
By the way, don't go away after this run. This is not the last run. There is
Nope.
still an amazing Beyond Chaos run from Margaret Ann coming up after this. So please, please make sure you do not change that station.
Direction. On. What? That's supposed to be a counter, not a block. What happened there? I don't have defend on. Since when has Counter Strike had a defend component?
Yeah,
There we
that
are,
happens
time.
sometimes.
That happens if you. I think Lemur explained it to me once that
If you press it again.
Yeah, like if you are too quick to mash it, it effectively becomes defend.
Yeah.
By the way.
GG.
Thank you. I realized that after I started complaining about it. Was that, wait, I double pressed there. That's what does it, isn't it? And I was like, yep. Yep. All right. About as good a fight as yours. 2 STs. Wrecker.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we were all underestimate, and that's the important thing.
That's the important thing.
All right. Anything else any of the runners want to say before we turn it over and start setting up for the last run?
As a Valkyrie, thank you all so much for donating to this amazing cause. We are extremely happy year after year to keep providing opportunities for Take This to make AFK rooms at different cons, because I know I've used them considerably at PAXs in the past. So thank you all for your super duper generosity. You're amazing.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to the RPG Valks for putting on this event in the first place and organizing all of this. We want to thank all of the volunteers and all of the other runners as well for putting on an amazing week of just top-class speedrunning. It's been fantastic. And thanks to everybody who's been watching, lurking, supporting, cheering people on, donating. It's been fantastic. Thank you all so very much.
I always appreciate the opportunity to show off this game. Showing off this game is part of why I got into running it and then running all of events, because it was just like, if this is a game I love, I want to show off as much of it as possible. So, of course, thank Valks for that opportunity. Thank the two of you for letting me in on this race, because I do enjoy me a race. And yeah, thanks for putting this together. We've still got Beyond Chaos to go, and Beyond Chaos, if it's the whole thing, Beyond Chaos is still a good long run, if it's not just like Narsh %.
But yeah, enjoy the rest of the marathon, folks, and thank you again so much.
Thank you, everybody. I'm Sorryanna, and this is going to do it for me for the marathon. I believe Natara is going to be hosting this last run, so please stick around. If you want to get any last-minute donations in for the sprites, definitely do so. I might be wrong about who's hosting next, but never mind me. Oh, no, she is hosting. She just, she just trolled me in chat. Anyway, I'm Sorryanna. I get trolled in chat easily. Thank you so much to the Valkyries for having me. Have a great night.